There's no volume right now. Nobody's really talking. They're about to start. Ben, Brandon, it's me. Mayor.
We haven't even started the meeting yet.
We're going to start it now.
No, we're not.
This is for you.
You can keep that.
That's for you. Leave that to, it's here somewhere, I'm sure. Right. Good. Where's
Excuse me, this is my paper.
where's Chief Conrad?
In fact, why don't you come back and talk to him right now?
That's the thing. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. Sir? Good.
Okay, so it started here. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Danny?
Yep.
Vicar? Jackson? Yes. Greg? Vivian?
Yes.
Jimmy? Yep. Davis? Give me a form. And if you would review the minutes of previous meetings.
Folks, just to let you know, when you do the right thing around here, you get terminated for it.
That is
Bullshit! That's retaliation!
Order!
No, there's no order to that.
Meeting right now. Order!
That's not order.
Order!
That ain't order. Oh, no, that's wrong. I'm not, that's wrong. That is bullshit. Good, we will, Vivian. You're just as corrupt as the rest of them. I'm sorry?
Oh, you are so wrong. I have
You can't
never.
Stop. Mr. Mayor, were you discharged with felony charges?
Okay, I'm gonna stay here with
What about the allegations of retaliation?
That's bullshit.
Are you considering retaliation charges?
It's a public meeting. Mr. Myers, this is a public meeting. Please do not interrupt one more time.
It is a public meeting.
Yes, do not interrupt.
Derek, come sit down, just film him.
Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second. Move second.
Can you, excuse me, sir. I'm Jeremy, Side of Post.
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Nice to meet you. Can you tell me what just happened?
I was terminated.
Why were you terminated?
Filing charges on the mayor and the chief of police.
Yeah, and can you tell me about those charges? Because I just recently today read some charges that you filed.
Well, I really don't want to get into much of it, because it is an ongoing investigation.
Right.
So,
Some of it's public knowledge.
some
though.
of it's public, you're right. So, but to go into more of it, I'd rather not at this time. Just what you have out to the public would be good for now, I think.
And what did you just give them?
I gave them an affidavit on the Whistleblower Act and served them their charges.
Right, because some of the charges that you gave earlier on the 20th, I believe, they had to do with the Whistleblower Act.
Correct.
That you felt like you should stand up and file and come forward with some charges that were that you felt were wrong.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Right. So.
You're welcome to come to my house.
So. All right. Well, what are you gonna do from here?
Okay, stop.
Keep doing my full-time job.
What's that?
You
I'm
want
a security supervisor.
Gotcha.
want to read it.
So, and I'm guessing that you'll probably file something with Pickaway because of this,
Absolutely.
right? All right.
Thanks for your time, sir.
Thanks. All right, guys. What's going on here? Sorry, I just got home from Maine, so I'm a little bit scruffy. The officer had filed some paperwork, and you can read it on side of the Post. He had done something called the Whistleblower Act, where he had filed against a couple of the mayor here, Lawless, and another officer that, and he had come forward and filed some paperwork with Pickaway. You can read all the documents on a post I just posted probably maybe an hour or two ago. And now they've terminated him. They terminated him immediately in the office. And I'm guessing that is because of these charges. I'll have to come and ask. They weren't discussing it right now, so I'll ask them here in a few minutes. But that's what's going on here in New Holland. Kind of crazy, huh? So if you could see, there was a lot of people who came out to ask questions about this right here in New Holland. As you can see, there's a ton of people here that are upset about the situation that's going on in New Holland. One of the documents said that forgery. They brought up charges against Derek Myers when it comes to harassment in the office of the chief. As you can know, that Lawless and Conrad have also had charges against them for trespass. Pickaway County Sheriff's filed that. So there's a lot kind of going on here, and I would like to see it cleaned up, and that's the reason why I'm out here. You got a lot going on here, and I think that we got to figure out what's going on. So. Yes, I do not have the ability to censor swear words and such when they go off like that. I can't help that. It's live. But as you can see, the officer that filed the charges against them was terminated today by Conrad, chief of police here. So, hi, Shelley. So that's what's going on here in New Holland. I was just told that they have gone into an executive session, so there'll be no public involved. So,
Terminated Officer Bradman, Officer Mick filed charges against the mayor and the police chief and police chief just a few
so as you can see, for New Holland, this is a fairly large group of people that are here, and they're all upset about what's going on with their town, and
belittling this village. And if we don't stand up and take our village back, then we've got nothing. Nothing.
This used to be a community. People inside this building, and it's time that ends.
a lot of.
So what do we do? Let's get a town meeting together. We need signatures Who there?
Where is the mayor? I didn't see him in the meeting.
Oh, he was the one in the corner that kind of hired. He'll hide there and then he will be little.
And with the ordinance that they passed, hiring a criminal defense attorney to defend them, we're going to have to pay for all their defense. Not only do we have to pay for our own defense charges, but now we have to pay for theirs.
They have ordinances. They have ordinances that they say that we, the taxpayers, and I don't live in the village, but I own property here. I have to pay for their attorney. Nobody paid for my attorney when I was charged for speaking at him.
So as you can see, they've brought it on the streets now. And it's people that are upset in this town, and I would love to see somebody figure out what's going on here and calm down. You know, one of the officers was terminated for standing up for what he believes in. So you know, you have two people in office right now that have been charged. So it's an interesting thing going on here in New Holland.
There's a lot more to it than this.
Right.
You know, absolutely. I want to thank everybody for coming here and supporting this man tonight. You know, it is like I said all along. This isn't about me. I don't have a personal gain in this. I can't run for council. I can't run for mayor. I had one speeding ticket in my life when I was 23. Okay? It's not like they were giving me speeding tickets. I only was charged for speaking at council. Okay? What right is there with that?
What is right with Officer Mick being discharged with no action?
For doing his job. Because they do what they want to do in there.
Yeah, but when you discharge someone from a job, they have a reason.
What you're seeing is live. This is during the council meeting. Council meeting started at 6:30. Immediately as the council meeting started, this officer you see right here was terminated because he had filed charges on just a few days ago on the 20th against Lawless, against the mayor, and he claimed the Whistleblower Act. He had seen a couple things that had happened, and that's when you've seen this week when Pickaway County and the department came down through here and they came in and they got documents that were claimed forgery and things like that. And that was the officer that kind of started it right here. And now tonight during council he was terminated. So it's an interesting state of affairs over here tonight. I'm sure they will figure out what's going on and through the courts. So. One other thing, can I put you on camera, Derek?
Sure, that's fine. I'm just sharing this IOTA post. For anybody that was watching the Derek Myers Facebook page, we got disconnected. But anyway,
so Derek, in the paperwork that was filed,
I got to double check.
No, you're okay. I can look. Hey, I'm a professional reporter. Okay.
I know you are. I taught you.
Anyway, in the paperwork and stuff, tell me about the charges that you've been chasing these charges for a long time, right? How do you feel, when an officer stands up and says, yeah, these charges are legitimate, and that and this really did happen the way you even portrayed it happened?
Right. So it's obviously upsetting to see what's happened here tonight. I got the charges this morning when they were filed with the Pickaway County Municipal Court. The search warrant, as we know, was served here on Saturday night by this sergeant. From what we gather from the public documents is that he was investigating some allegations of forgery for former Chief Lawless's paperwork that was submitted to the Ohio Attorney General's office. Interesting enough, I've been on top of this village, as you mentioned, Jeremy, and I got this paperwork myself on Wednesday. The Attorney General's office sent it to me. They send me everything that comes in about New Holland. I wasn't expecting this paperwork. I got an email that said, hey, check out this paperwork. I reached back out to them. I said, I'm hearing some allegations and some rumors circulating that there is an investigation for forgery on these documents. And she says, the lady from the Attorney General, Kate Hansen, who's a media relations liaison, tells me, she says, interesting enough, Derek, she says, we thought it was forgery too, and we have given it to local law enforcement to investigate. Obviously, as we know now through public records, Sergeant Mick here was conducting his own separate investigation and served a search warrant that was signed by Circleville Municipal Court Judge Gary Dumm. That search warrant was executed here at about 8:30 on Saturday night. The doors were kicked in. We were outside here on the sidewalk. We could hear some loud booms from those doors being kicked in. We know that the police chief, the mayor, the fiscal officer's offices were all kicked in. The interesting thing about this search warrant was they were searching for documents that were forgery,
Right.
and related to that.
Right.
And it also allowed, the search warrant allowed the officers to photograph the entire premise and anything inside. So we don't know what was photographed inside, other than we know what was on this search warrant receipt. Every search warrant that's executed, there has to be a receipt given that shows what you took. And they have these, what they purport to be the original forged documents.
Right. So I'm gonna hurt your feelings here for a second, Derek. You know, a lot of people they talk about you. You know that you've said things that haven't been true and stuff like that. But now there's a couple of things that have been filed that are true. How does that make you feel?
Well, the FBI first met with me in October after a citizen lodged a complaint, and of course I lodged a complaint with the FBI. They sent some investigators, some special agents here to the village to interview some citizens and myself, and I have met with the FBI on a dozen occasions since then. The Attorney General's office has an open investigation. Pickaway County Sheriff's Office has an open investigation. For anyone who thinks there's not an open investigation here, there certainly is, and there is a lot happening here in this village. This is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. The chips are starting to fall. You know, for anyone that might think that's for anyone that might think Sergeant Mick and I perhaps might have been working together, that's just couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. Same thing with me and you.
Sergeant Mick has criminal charges pending against me.
Right.
So you know, I can't. To think that there's any collusion there would just be absolutely preposterous. I mean, the man's charged me. I've got court coming up because of those charges, and we had no involvement in this whatsoever. Found out just like everyone else, and no collusion here with Jeremy from Scioto Post.
No. Nope, I just, it's in the documentation. You know, you have an officer that files paperwork, you know, that goes along with what you filed for paperwork. I mean, it makes it interesting, doesn't it?
You know, the facts surely are starting to come. What we will see is what people ask, well, why isn't there being arrests made? Why aren't search warrants being served by these other agencies? And I think the real reason is because they don't tell people they're investigating them when they're investigating them. They keep it quiet, and they move literally under the cover of darkness. Mm-hmm. And would be why we probably haven't seen stuff. These things take time. I recall a time here in 2014 when I broke a story on Fayette Advocate about then Village Administrator Mike Murphy was signing his own business over contracts here to do work. I broke that story in April 2014. That's how Mayor Betsko, the current mayor, got appointed, was upon the resignation. It took 2 years, Jeremy, for that village administrator to get indicted. So the fact that this stuff is just happening now, we could see this go on for 2 more years before we see indictments, because that's exactly what happened in 2014 with the previous administration who got indicted. It took 2 years from the time that the media brought it to light until there were indictments handed down. So I am not surprised at this quote-unquote slow timeline. Justice takes time. The FBI told me, one thing they told me when they interviewed me, and many times since they've interviewed me, I always ask, I said, when are you guys going to do something? When are you going to serve these search warrants? When are you going to take people in? And we've all heard the saying, and this is what they report to me too, they say, the wheels of justice move slowly. And that's true, they do. It took 2 years in the previous administration. It might take that long, if not longer, in this administration.
All right. Well, thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
So as you can see, big turnout here for New Holland about, you know, things are going on, the charges that were just filed. You can read about those charges. I put the paperwork on there just a couple of hours ago. You can read the documents yourself that were filed with Pickaway County Sheriffs, and you can see some of the information right there for yourself. That's legal, documented information. What's going on here in New Holland. So this is all I got for tonight. You know, nobody else came forward to really want to talk. So thanks for joining us. I just wanted to come out here and just kind of show people, you know, live action of what's going on out here. So thanks for joining.